How to secure funding for your independent film. You are in the creative business, so you have to think creatively. Another thing is, as independents, we have to think way more creatively than the big boys. Them Hollywood boys, they got $100 million budgets. They can do whatever they want to do. Us, we have to be more creative. We have to think outside of the box. If there's ever been a place where thinking outside of the box can help, this is the place where you have to think outside of the box, okay? One of the things you need to think about when trying to raise funding is, how are you going to pay back your investor? Okay, if you take on an investor or if you ask people for money, how are you going to pay them back? I'm the guy that always says keep your costs low. That's just my motto. That's my motivation, because if you keep your costs low, then it's easier to make that money back. Once you start ballooning and your costs start rising too high, it's harder to make it back with such a laid back plan. Now, there are things that you can do to make back those bigger budgets, but you definitely have to spend more money on your advertising. And then that's a whole nother conversation that I'll get into another time. But right now, create a story with a small budget. Forget about looking at, oh, I wrote 10 scripts and I have this script and I have that script. Unless you can tweak it, I don't care nothing about that. All right. So this is where you start. You start on, what do you have access to? If you wrote a movie and it's talking about an airport, get that out of here. You wrote a movie and it's talking about a disco. Do you have access to a disco? If you do, then great. If you don't, stop it. Start with, what do you have access to? What are the things that you can get now, right? Think about what you have access to. Do you have access to, I don't know, a junkyard? Do you have access to a barbershop, a hair salon? Do you have access to a back alley, a park? You know, you got to think about the things that you have access to. Your parents' home, your friend's home, your girlfriend, your boyfriend's house, a friend's house. Do you have access to certain things? And then take everything that you have, create a list, write it down. What things do I have definite access to? One, the place that you're sleeping. Possibly, I don't know, people have different arrangements. You possibly have access to the place and where you're sleeping. You possibly have access to the place where you live, right? Then separate your list into two parts. One part is the stuff that you definitely have access to, no questions asked. Then in the other part of the list, create things that you possibly have access to, meaning like you could ask for a favor. The person may say yes or no. Then on the last part of the list, add places that you might have access to because you know someone who has access to it. You might have a friend who has access to somebody else that you don't really have that much of a relationship with, but you can ask your friend and your friend might be able to secure the place. For example, I was shooting a scene and the character was a real estate agent. So I needed a home, I needed a house for them to show, but I didn't know anybody. My cousin, who was working with me, he had a friend who was a real estate agent. So I was able to ask my cousin, and then my cousin was able to ask his friend. So I can write a story around those things. I just know that I have to incorporate the things that I have access to, and then I build my story because I know I have access to them. My cost is going to be low. That's how you have to think when it comes to getting money for your project. First, you need to think about keeping your budget low, then you go and pursue it, right? So that's just some advice. Take it or leave it. You want to shoot your intergalactic war movie, that's on you. So once you figure out what you have access to, you put this script together. You write your script. Then you need to create a pitch deck. Okay? Get you a pitch deck. And then these two things you have, a script, you have a pitch deck. With AI, you can actually create a trailer. There are websites that allow you to create trailers. I'll try to throw some of them up on the screen. I can't recall them right now, but where's my phone at? Give me a second. Nvideo.io. I like this site. All you gotta do is type in some words and it'll kick out a video for you and add some music and even add a voiceover. And you could tweak the voiceover, you could tweak the music, you can even tweak the video images that it includes. RunwayML.com. This is like the big boy. They just recently did a contest where they had people create shorts using the software. So if you look online, you could probably see a lot of the trailers and the possibilities. WonderDynamics.com. I love this one because you can take like a real shot with like real humans and it will actually replace the humans with characters. So you can really take off with some sci-fi. I've seen some people make some shorts on YouTube using this and it looks pretty good. So these are just the ones that I know and the ones that I like. So I was pitching a series. I had scripts, but I didn't include the scripts. What I did is I included a pitch deck. I made a pitch deck, and then I had a trailer. I shot a trailer, and I put them in the email, and I basically said in the email, you know, hello, my name is Mazi. I'm a writer. I'm a director. I am in pre-production of this project right here, and I would like to know if you guys would be interested in distribution once it's done. I sent the email out, and then I sat back and waited. I think maybe one of the distributors got back to me within 24 hours. Another one was like a few days later. And then third one was maybe a week later. And the fourth distributor never responded. But it was cool. I had 3 and I was already set. I just needed 1 and I was cool. So the responses basically were encouraging. They weren't like 100% commitment, but they were definitely like, hey, yes, we're interested, or yes, we'd like to know more, or hey, when can we talk? One of the distributors said, what is a phone number that we can reach you at? So I was like, oh, snap, I'm in. So the next thing I did is I took the email and I screenshot it. And then I sent it to a few people that I was considering to invest in my project. And now what that did is it showed them that I had an interest from a distributor. Of course, I played it up more. I'm like, yo, this major distributor that has distributed X, Y, and Z movie and this movie, and they have connections to this channel and that channel. They said they're interested in my project. I just need a few dollars to help finish it. Are you interested in being partners with me? And then that's how I got things rolling. The other thing I did was a GoFundMe. I've done GoFundMe twice. The first time I was successful in raising the money that I needed to raise. The second time I wasn't. So I don't want you to think like this is just the answer to all of the questions. I'm being honest. So I have a 50-50 success rate using GoFundMe. But there's another website called Seed and Spark. I set up a page there, but I haven't launched the project yet. But I do have a friend of mine who I saw launch a project, and he raised about $200,000 from Seed and Spark. So there are these platforms, these crowdfunding places that you can raise money. That's it. That's it for now. That's all I have. I'll be back with another video. If you have some ideas on how to raise funds for shooting an independent film, please leave them in the comments. I love to hear people's stories. I also heard a story of a guy who maxed out all his credit cards. But I love hearing these stories. So please leave some in the comments. And remember, you can book a call with me, or you can book my coaching bundle. And basically, I'll hold your hand through the whole process. I'll get you started, and then I'll get you all the way to the finish line, get your distribution. All right. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend. And I'll be back in another video. I like this right here. This there's a piece that's supposed to go on anyway. There's a piece that's supposed to go on top, but it's like it's a handle. It's a handle. I paid $30 for something that could have been 3D printed, and you just clip it on here. It's supposed to be another piece that goes on top. I don't know where it is. Anyway, hold on. Oh, I found it. It was, yeah. Anyway,